This is a follow-up video to my previous video on Agile Scrum Master. 1 minute video basically which dealt with how many chapter this particular course has got and briefing about it and all that. A quick brief which we went through in the last video. And in this video we're going to unfold in detail and particularly we are talking about assessment. There are 24 questions we are going to solve today. Let's get started. And I'm just going back to the very first one. It has got 7 lessons, and the very first lesson is course introduction, and basically it talks about exam details and all that. And then number 2, agile way of thinking is a core tool or core concept of agile scrum within agile scrum master. Basically it talks about waterfall, agile project management, benefit of agility, faster delivery with value, and so on and so forth. So basically it has got 16 sub chapter within agile way of thinking, and we are going to solve knowledge tests. Each section has got 4 questions. Let's see. Number 1, which of the following would be considered most valuable by an agile team? Working product. Why, according to Agile Manifesto, a working product is valued the most? Ultimately, it boils down or it comes down whether you have a working product to show or not. Let's go to the next question. A Scrum team should share the progress report and project update with whom? All the relevant stakeholder. And third question, which of the following is a team transitioning to Scrum most likely to lose? Here the question is tricky. Most likely to lose is detailed upfront planning and architecture. And then it also has given briefing. Scrum team usually exhibit higher productivity and quality with an ability to respond to changes, flexibility, adaptability. However, it might not perform detailed upfront planning and architecture compared to the traditional model of developments. Let's go to the last question. And a team is trying to decide between two design patterns to solve a problem and is debating which would work better. What is the best way to arrive at a decision? And develop a small pilots with both approaches and study the outcome. If you look at that extra sense it has given, it is very beautiful. It says Scrum relies on experimentation and adaptation. The best approach would be to try both approaches and learn from the experiences, and rather than endless theoretical debates, discussions, and all that, which are untested. So we completed second chapter, which basically contained 4 questions. Let's go to next part, that is, I will keep this, I'll minimize this. Let's go to the third chapter, Scrum roles, events and artifacts. And it has got little details about roles and responsibility like do's, don'ts, attributes, scenarios, and role of a product owner, attributes of successful product owners, and so on and so forth. Failure modes, that is interesting. How busy is the product owner, and evaluations method, and manager is in Scrum sprints, right? In the sprints again you will find various other various detail about that, and then you will find that again how daily stand-up meetings and so on, so backlogs and all that, right? And then let me go to knowledge check. The product owner wants a feature urgently. team estimate for the feature is 3 sprints. And which is the best action for the Scrum Master to take in this case? In this case, organize a meeting to explore the option of a meeting the requirement in time, right? As a collaborator, the Scrum Master must facilitate a discussion to explore the options. It may be possible to reduce the breadth and depth of a feature to achieve at least, rather than saying no, right? And a portion of it within the expected timeline. Let's go to the next question. What should a part-time Scrum Master do when he or she is working in a critical development activity and another parallel activity, right? Another team members needs an immediate assistant. The best way is explore the best way to help the team members. Scrum Master must be fully committed to the role even if it is part-time assignment. Therefore, the Scrum Master needs to first assist the team member who needs help and also and only then continue to work on their own task and looks to delegate it. Let's go to the third question. And after the start of a sprint, the product owner wants to add one more story to the sprint backlog. So, for example, 3 were there. Now, wanted to add one more, the fourth one. How should team respond to this situation? And in this case, ask the PO to wait until the next sprint, right? After the completion of sprint planning, once the team has made the commitment, the sprint backlog cannot be changed. Since the sprint has a short time period, it is perfectly reasonable to ask the PO purchase order to wait until the start of the next sprint rather than diluting the whole commitment and focus on all that. And the last question, what should be done about the remaining 2 stories when a team completed 8 out of 10 stories planned in a sprint? Let's say 80% is completed, right? So what you can do is they should be moved back to the product and backlog for reprioritization. Reprioritization is very important. The incomplete storage should be moved to the backlog. Extending the sprint is not recommended. Remember, extending the sprint is not recommended, and there is no guarantee that the remaining stories will automatically get selected for the next sprint. And we completed the third chapter also as well. And let me minimize it. And let's go to the fourth chapter. Agile estimations and agile estimation planning, monitoring and control. Basically, it has got user story, writing a good user story, acceptance criteria, epics, splitting the user story mapping, business value, benefit cost analysis, prioritization, estimation, and then ideal time estimation, story points, affinity estimation, planning poker, velocity, release planning, and release planning process, and burn up charts, and so on. And then let's go and take knowledge check. And similarly, this also has got 4 more questions. That means we are going to do 9th question now, right? A user story sample. As an accountant, I would like the account screen to be simple so that I don't need to scroll up and down and all that. What is wrong with this story, right? And it does not clearly describe what needed. It sounds like an acceptance criterion, right? As stated, the need is not very clear, as it says that the screen should be simple and the teller wants to avoid scrolling up and down and all that, right? This should be very well have been an acceptance criterion for the account screen. Let's go to another mathematical question. A team average is velocity is 10 with a maximum of 12, minimum of 8. The release backlog is size at 72. And how many sprint should the team commit to? So what we have, let me take the pen. We have size is 72. Let me take this 72 by, and how many average velocity we have? 10, that means 7.2. In the sprint, it has been always been considered as the nearest close number, so 8. So 8 should be the right answer. Okay, yes, it is right. And as I said, considering the average velocity, the number of sprint needed 72 by 10, 7.2. If we round it up to the higher whole number, 8 sprint would be needed to complete the release. Let's go to the next question. And what should the Scrum Master do when the team estimates in a planning poker do not converge, right? And if it do not converge, what you have to basically do is ask the team to come to an agreement. Why? In keeping with the Scrum Master role and the principle of team having the final say, the decision should be left to the team, right? Here, team building, team networking, team activity, the entire agile, you will find that's an implied requirement. The team may choose to go with the average or the highest estimation or continue the discussion. Scrum Master needs to wait for the team to come to an agreement. The last question. And a team had started a release with a backlog of 550 points. During the first 3 sprint, they completed 120 points. Stories worth 30 points were added. 10 points were removed from the scope. What is the position of the burn down bar chart? Burn down bar chart, as we talked about, is also interesting concept. And in this one, I will tell you the answer and then I will explain you the formula. Top is at 430 points and bottom is minus 20. How? This is the formula. Burn down bar chart, top moves down as much as the work completed, right? So that means it becomes like 120 point. The bottom moves when the work is getting added, like in this case minus 30. Moves up when the work is removed, right? Plus 10. Therefore, the top is 430. And why? How? 550 minus 120, right? 550 minus 1, maybe I'll write it down. 550 minus 120. So, and then let me save this. And then what you have to do is, therefore the top is the bottom is minus 20, right? How? 0 minus 30 plus 10. We completed the fourth one also. That means 12 questions from 4 section number 2, 3, 4. 4 of each 3 section, 12 questions we have successfully completed. Now we are going to take another 8 questions. Okay, the half of the questions is completed, and now let's go to the 5th one. So the 5th one is interesting. Other method and frameworks, and this particular one, why it is I said interesting, because you will be able to connect various dots, for example leans and all that. Framework, method, extreme programming practices, XP, teamwork, crystals, and time boxing, Moscow, lean, value stream mapping, 7 form of waste like teamwork, transportation, inventory, you know all this, right? So in the lean, it is called transportation, inventory, motion, waiting time, overproduction, overprocessing, and defect, and unutilize skills, right? These are all the things. And then Kanban, the visual dashboard, the terminologies, and all that. So let's talk about this. And which of the following is the most appropriate interpretation for the 820 rule in the DSDM and ETERN, right? This is actually is more on value, not on the Pareto. Do not get confused with the Pareto. It is 80% of the value delivered from the 20% of work. All this statement may be close, but however in DM interpretation is 80-20% rule is that 80% of the value come from 20% of the work. The trick is to know that what is 20% is so that we can prioritize work accordingly. Okay, next question. If a team wants to reduce the lead time to deliver a product, to deliver the product, and throughput cannot be increased further, the only option what you have is decrease the work in progress. So, as per the Little's law, lead time equal to WIP divided by throughput, right? And if you wanted to decrease that lead time, and then throughput will increase and all that, right? If the throughput cannot be increased, the only option is to reduce the lead time so that we can just reduce the work in progress. Let's go to the next question. And which of these XP practices is enabled through pair programming? Collective code ownership. Pair programming ensures that every line of code has been seen by at least two developers. Therefore, it directly complements the practices of collective code ownership. The last question we are going to do. And an organization wonder whether it should be used Kanban, that is coming from the lean, Scrum for a particular activity. In general, you could say that Kanban is a better approach if provided what is that, right? Focus on speed of delivery. Lean is all about quick things and all that, right? It's not about the demonstrations, doing these things practically and all that. So Kanban focus on speed of delivery by increasing flow. Scrum, on the other hand, more on the inspect, testing, adopting, and all that. The fifth chapter also completed. Let me minimize. Go to the sixth chapter now. That's called complex project, and this chapter itself is a complex here. And let's see how we can do common challenges in projects, and it talks about backlog management and scaling products and all that, agile tooling, testing, pyramid and all that. So let's go to this one. Okay, who should be the representative of your team of the scrub meeting? Scrub master basically. So no, who should be the representative of your team member? Okay, for the scrum of scrum master. Okay, team decides. Yes, I will come back. I will put the team decides, because the decision of who should represent the team should be left to the team, right? So the team has to take the decision. They would decide based on what is most informed about it and all that. How is the Nexus integrations team typically formed? This is also a twisted question. By selecting team members from the teams which are part of that Nexus. Let's go to the next one. Which of the following organizational factors are most detrimental to the adopting of Agile? The geographical spread is always critical, right? In the context of Agile adoption, the geographical spread is the most challenging, most hardest part. Responsiveness to customer needs and technically capable teams are helpful for Agile, because all the areas you have to have a same competency, same level of peoples and all that. Complexity of project is also challenging for the team, but it is a project related factor. And last question from the sixth chapter. Which of the following should be the primary focus of testing on a large complex agile project, right? And it's a unit test. For the testing pyramid, the team primary focus should be on the unit test, which should be comprised of 80 to 90% of the tests written in system. We completed the sixth one. We will go to the last and final, and basically once again a core topic, adopting Agile. Basically it has got introduction. Right after the introduction, you have a roadmap to agility, pattern of agile adoption, secret of successful pilots and all that. And it also have got setting up the expectation upfront, change the style indicators and all that. It people management, cultural change, maturity model. It also talk to use of the maturity model. This is very interesting 7.1.5 chapter, beautifully explained in the video. Let's talk about that. Let's take the final one. A project manager in an organization wants to try Scrum in a pilot mode. Which of the following is the most important step to ensure success of the pilot? Setting up the reasonable expectation is the way to go, right? Because suitable for a big enterprise transformation to agile, as a project manager is only interested as a pilot. Setting reasonable expectation perhaps may be a most important one. The second question, this is a tricky question. Identify the criteria to select the right agile pilot project: medium size, medium duration, medium criticality, and high visibility. You want to pick the project that is not too small, neither too big, not too long, and then from the duration perspective, not too critical and all that. Preferably, you can go to the moderate one. And a company adopted a strategy that each member of a successful agile team will be assigned to a new team that is adopting agile. What is a strategy called? Right? This strategy called split and seed. Split and seed strategy, each member of a successful agile team assigned to an evangelist to another agile team to quickly spread the knowledge and all that. The last and final question we are going to do: how should the performance evaluation process change as the team embrace Scrum? And the answer is, you need to put a lot of emphasis on teamwork. As I mentioned before, that is all about the teamwork and all that. Traditional performance evaluation process puts a lot of emphasis on the individual achievement. This may prove to be counteractive to the idea of the teamwork. Agile teams need to collaborate a lot more. Therefore, the performance evaluation system should be geared up, should be vigilant to encourage teamwork as such. With that, all 24 questions we have solved. How 24 questions? In this one, there, let me go back. Let me minimize this. There are seven chapter. Only the chapter 1 do not contain the question. All the other chapter does contain each chapter 4 questions, and that means 6 chapter. 24 questions we have solved. I hope you like this video, and please do like, share, subscribe my channel. You have wonderful day ahead.